for many years now, I've navigated other clients and myself through the power of tapping in to the authenticity of your childhood self, the person who you were before the pressure of society of life began to force you into conforming to the expectations of other people. And there's a lot of power in your inner child, in that very, very honest place of who you are that oftentimes just does not get enough attention, does not have enough of a say or a voice in your life. And for many of us, we struggle with internal conflict because we've lost touch with that inner child. And what ends up happening is that the inner child shows up in the worst ways when we're under stress, when we are in conflict with others. And here are just a couple of takeaways about the lessons that we should all have learned to practice as adults, that we should have known these things since high school. We should be practicing these things in high school and beyond in life. But for the reason that we're not often giving expression and allowing ourselves permission to access that child, we act out in the following childish ways. So, one of the lessons, and there are many, but one of the lessons we should all know from high school is concerning malice. Anything that you do to intentionally hurt another person is going to come back around. I love that the current social media culture of millennials and Gen Zs talk a lot about returning the same energy to you. You come to me with that energy, I'm matching energy, right? The reality is though, any intentionality that is attached to malice, meaning to harm someone, is always bad news. It may feel really good in the moment. You might get a dopamine rush because you got your lick back, but the law of life tells us that malice will always return sorrow to us. And this is something that every teenager should know, and we should refer back to as adults, right? When life be lifing and people hurt us, that we don't ever go to a place of malice where we intend harm against another human being. It never works out. It will always find its way back to you. Another one of the lessons that is, I would say, even going back to middle school for me, but definitely by the time you're navigating high school, you learn to practice that gossip is always bad news. So it's not just the person who's sharing gossip, but it's the person who is hearing gossip as well. Like both people are in a bad spot. And people used to always ask, how did I navigate working in an office with only women? Like the office was full of women, only women. We had no men in our office, and everyone knows of the stereotypes about working in a female dominated workplaces. Well, my contentment and my joy in that workspace was a 99% due to the fact that I did not participate in gossip. I did not go to other people's offices seeking to hear what was going on in the grapevine. And when things came to me, I did not repeat them, right? So, gossip is always bad news. The person who's flattering you and getting to know more about you, and at the same time telling you about somebody else's business, all they're doing is making sure that they have plenty of content to go repeat your secrets to others. So gossip is always bad news. And avoiding it is a very, very powerful way to avoid conflict. And then finally, one final high school lesson that I just want to mention today is never sleep on the ugly duckling. When now in life, we've all gotten to this place where you're either on your way to having your first school reunion, or maybe you're two or three high school reunions into your adulthood. And what do we all learn about the person who no one noticed, about the person who was a little bit weird, about the the person who wasn't the heartbreaker? Well, in time and in season, the awkwardness of the adolescent years of high school, of not really kind of being the cat's meow, that creates a type of personality and character in people that makes for amazing adults, leaders, teachers. And we, even in life beyond high school, sometimes get so focused on appearances that we fall into a similar high school trap of judging a book by its cover and not investigating further into the character and the depth of a person, particularly people who have really lived through a lot of awkwardness. So, those are just a couple of things from high school, right? Lessons that we all should know from high school. Just a reminder that these things are very powerful insights to help us navigate conflict, avoid conflict, understand ourselves and how we're showing up in conflict, and being more kind as human beings, more effective in how we're relating with other human beings and connecting with one another, so that we're doing our part in making the world a better place. Be blessed and encouraged.